Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
Every action, no matter how small, is a seed planted in the soil of your future. Every choice, every habit, every moment spent in discipline or distraction contributes to the trajectory of your life. Most people underestimate this truth. They believe success is built on grand gestures, monumental decisions, once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. But the reality is far more subtle and far more powerful. Life is not changed in a single moment. It is shaped by the accumulation of moments. The compound effect is always at work, whether you recognize it or not. It does not care if you are deliberate or careless, intentional or indifferent. It simply multiplies whatever you feed it. If you sow inconsistency, procrastination, and shortcuts, you will reap mediocrity. But if you sow discipline, persistence, and small, repeated efforts, you will reap greatness. The most dangerous lie people tell themselves is that small things do not matter. That missing a single workout, skipping a single task, delaying a single goal will not make a difference. But everything counts. The workout you skip today is not just a missed session. It is a signal to your mind that skipping is acceptable. The discipline you break once is an invitation for it to break again. And each time you choose ease over effort, you reinforce a pattern that pulls you further from the person you could be. The compound effect is unforgiving. It does not grant exceptions. It does not make excuses. It simply accumulates whatever you put into it. The question is not whether it is working. It is whether it is working for you or against you. The greatest advantage of the compound effect is that it rewards consistency over intensity. Most people chase overnight success. They want instant transformation, rapid results, the kind of growth that can be seen in days rather than years. But those who truly understand the game know that real success is not found in sudden explosions of effort. It is found in the quiet, relentless commitment to doing the right things over and over again. The person who commits to reading for 30 minutes a day will be unrecognizably wiser in a year. The person who saves a little money every week will be financially free, while others are still waiting for a big break. The person who trains a little harder every session will outperform those who rely on sporadic bursts of motivation. It is not about doing everything all at once. It is about doing the right things consistently enough that they cannot be ignored. Every habit compounds. The food you eat, the thoughts you entertain, the way you spend your free time, all of it is adding up, shaping you in ways you do not see in the moment, but will be undeniable in the future. Every negative thought repeated daily carves a groove into your identity. Every excuse made becomes easier to justify the next time. Every moment wasted is a debt you are charging to your future self. But the opposite is also true. Every disciplined choice strengthens your willpower. Every small win builds your confidence. Every right action, no matter how insignificant it seems, is constructing a version of you that is stronger, sharper, and more capable than you were yesterday. The question is never whether your actions matter. It is whether you are making them matter in the right direction. The most successful people in the world are not those who are the most gifted, the most privileged, or the most fortunate. They are simply those who have mastered the art of accumulation. They have disciplined themselves to stack good decisions on top of each other until success becomes inevitable. They do not waste time seeking motivation because they understand that consistency outperforms inspiration every time. They do not wait until they feel ready, because they know that readiness is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite. They do not rely on willpower, because they have designed habits that make the right choices automatic. They understand that everything counts, so they ensure that everything they do moves them forward. Mediocrity is also built by the compound effect. It is not the result of a single bad decision, but the slow erosion of standards over time. The extra hour spent scrolling instead of learning. The skipped gym session that turns into a skipped week. The ignored opportunity that becomes a habit of hesitation. These small choices do not seem significant in isolation, but compounded over years, they define a person's fate. No one wakes up suddenly out of shape, broke, or unfulfilled. It happens gradually, one small misstep at a time. The compound effect does not care whether you use it wisely or recklessly. It simply does its job, ensuring that the person you become is a direct reflection of the choices you make repeatedly. Most people fail, not because they lack potential, but because they misunderstand time. They overestimate what they can accomplish in a month, but underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. They abandon goals because progress feels slow, not realizing that slow progress is the foundation of lasting success. They seek shortcuts, unaware that the real shortcut is consistency. Thinking big is important, but it must be paired with the discipline of small daily actions. The people who succeed are not the ones who set the biggest goals. They are the ones who master the smallest details. They know that brushing their teeth today does not prevent cavities, but doing it every day does. That one healthy meal does not transform their body, but a decade of healthy choices does. That reading one book does not make them a genius, but years of learning will set them apart from those who never started. The power of the compound effect is that it makes extraordinary achievements seem ordinary. The strongest people, the wealthiest individuals, the most successful entrepreneurs are not supernatural beings. They are simply those who understood that every action, no matter how small, was shaping their destiny. They started earlier, stayed consistent longer, and built a life that looked impossible to those who only saw the end result. The overnight success stories people admire are just the delayed rewards of years of unseen effort. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is now. Everything counts. Every thought, every action, every habit. There are no neutral choices. Everything is either building you up or tearing you down. The difference between a life of success and a life of regret is simply which direction the compound effect is working in. If you are not getting better, you're getting worse. If you are not progressing, you are stagnating. And if you do not take control of the small things, they will take control of you. Maturity is understanding that growth is not a series of dramatic breakthroughs, but an endless, quiet climb. The world sells you the illusion that progress is rapid, that transformation happens overnight, that success is a matter of waiting for the right moment of inspiration. But the truth is far less glamorous. Most of life is spent in a plateau, a space where progress is invisible, where results are delayed, where effort feels unrewarded. And this is where most people fail, not because they lack ability, but because they lack patience. They do not know how to sit with the slow, grinding process of mastery. They crave the fireworks, the rush, the instant gratification that convinces them they are moving when in reality, they are just spinning in place. The plateau is where your character is tested. It is where most quit, where motivation dies, where discipline is the only thing that separates those who rise from those who remain. It is easy to work hard when the results are immediate, when the feedback is constant, when the rewards come quickly. But the plateau offers none of that. It offers silence. It offers repetition. It offers the slow, invisible accumulation of skill, strength, and wisdom. Those who refuse to embrace it spend their lives running from it, jumping from one pursuit to another, chasing the high of new beginnings, mistaking movement for progress. They avoid the discomfort of consistency, and in doing so, they ensure that they never break past the invisible barriers keeping them ordinary. The mind that does not learn to love the plateau will always seek escape, and escape comes in many forms: cheap stimulation, meaningless distractions, addictions disguised as productivity. People who refuse to embrace the stillness of real progress fill their time with busy work, with tasks that feel important but lead nowhere. They check emails, refresh notifications, consume endless information, always searching for the next thing that will make them feel like they are advancing. But this is an illusion. Real growth is not loud. It is quiet. It is not found in constant motion. It is found in deep, focused work, repeated over time. The person who understands this stops chasing and starts building. Falling in love with the process is not about denying results. It is about understanding that results are inevitable if the process is honored. The person who falls in love with training will always surpass the one who only loves winning. The person who falls in love with writing will always outlast the one who only wants to be published. The person who falls in love with the grind will always outwork the one who only loves the reward. This is the compound effect in action: small, repeated effort accumulating over time, indifferent to impatience, immune to shortcuts. The plateau is not the enemy. It is the proving ground. There is no mastery without endurance. The best athletes, the best thinkers, the best creators all understand this truth. They have trained themselves to push through the void, to work without applause, to improve without validation. They do not abandon the process just because the progress is not visible. They trust that every hour, every rep, every disciplined choice is stacking in their favor. The plateau is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the place where your mind is forced to make a decision. Will you commit to the unseen work, or will you seek out the next shiny distraction that lets you feel like you're moving when you are really standing still? Cheap stimulation is the enemy of deep work. Every time you check your phone for no reason, every time you indulge in pointless entertainment to avoid discomfort, every time you chase instant gratification instead of sitting with the hard work in front of you, you are making a decision. A decision to delay your own progress. A decision to remain stuck in a cycle of surface-level effort that never amounts to anything real. The world is designed to keep you distracted, to keep you chasing novelty instead of depth, to keep you entertained instead of fulfilled. And if you do not consciously reject this, if you do not learn to sit in the stillness of true mastery, you will spend your entire life busy, but never accomplished. The plateau is not an obstacle, it is the path. It is the space between mediocrity and mastery, the tunnel that must be passed through before you reach the other side. And the only way out is through. There is no shortcut, no hack, no alternative route. The work must be done, and it must be done long enough that the results have no choice but to appear. The compound effect rewards the patient. It rewards those who understand that greatness is not about massive leaps, but about small, deliberate actions performed relentlessly over time. Most people do not lack talent. They lack the ability to endure the plateau long enough for their talent to be realized. Those who succeed are not always the most gifted. They are simply the ones who stayed when others left. The ones who showed up on the days they didn't feel like it. The ones who trusted the process, even when there was no evidence that it was working. The difference between the extraordinary and the forgotten is often just persistence. The ones who made it were the ones who learned to love the plateau, who trained themselves to find joy in the grind, who understood that real progress is rarely visible in the moment, but always undeniable in hindsight. The reason most people never achieve what they claim to desire is simple. They do not understand that failure is not a detour, but the path itself. They spend years absorbing theory, studying strategies, waiting for the perfect plan. They convince themselves that if they gather enough knowledge, they will bypass the discomfort of mistakes. But no amount of reading will teach you how to walk. No amount of preparation will shield you from the inevitable falls. The only truth is experience. The only teacher is failure. And the only way forward is through direct engagement with reality, the messy, unpredictable, unforgiving process of trial and error. Most people do not fail because they lack intelligence or talent. They fail because they believe failure should not happen. They believe the right plan should work flawlessly, that the perfect execution should produce immediate results. And when reality does what it always does, throw obstacles, reveal blind spots, expose weaknesses, they take it as a sign that they were never meant to succeed. They retreat, telling themselves they were misled, that success belongs to those with better luck, better guidance, better resources. But those who truly achieve understand something different. Every failure is raw data, every mistake is a correction, and every setback is a necessary step toward mastery. The problem is not the struggle, it is the expectation that there should not be one. People convince themselves that success should feel smooth, that progress should be linear, that once they commit, results should follow immediately. But reality does not work that way. Reality is a mirror, showing you not what you want to see, but what you need to fix. Most people do not like what they see in that reflection. They want to believe they are ready, that they have what it takes. And when the first real challenge proves otherwise, they abandon the goal rather than confront their own deficiencies. They trade ambition for comfort, telling themselves they never really wanted it anyway. Those who succeed understand that mistakes are not signs of inadequacy, but proof of movement. The person who is failing is the person who is trying. The person who never fails is the person who never truly committed. Most people avoid making mistakes, not because they fear failure, but because they fear what failure will reveal about them. They fear exposing their weaknesses, their lack of preparation, their blind spots. But what they do not realize is that those weaknesses exist whether they face them or not. Avoiding mistakes does not eliminate flaws. It only ensures that they remain unchallenged, unaddressed, and permanent. Growth is the result of friction. A person who has never tested themselves has no idea what they are capable of. They can imagine success, They can plan for it. They can even talk about it. But until they collide with resistance, they have no way of knowing whether they have what it takes. The only way to build resilience is to be tested. The only way to refine skill is to see where it fails. The only way to improve judgment is to experience the consequences of poor decisions. Those who think they can skip this process will always be stuck at the starting line, forever waiting for a risk-free path that does not exist. The modern world makes this problem worse. It floods people with information, with guides, with blueprints that promise success without struggle. People become addicted to learning, mistaking it for doing. They become collectors of advice, gathering theories from every source, convincing themselves that they are preparing, when in reality, they are just delaying. They do not realize that no amount of theory will ever be a perfect fit for their unique mind, their personal experiences, their specific situation. The only way to know what works for you is to test it, to apply, to fail, to adjust, to try again, to iterate, to refine, to persist. Those who succeed are not those who find the perfect plan, but those who adapt. They do not expect anyone's strategy to work flawlessly. They expect to break it, to reshape it, to mold it into something that fits their reality. They treat every failure as feedback, every misstep as data, every struggle as an education. They are not discouraged by mistakes. They are informed by them. And because of this, they improve at a rate that those waiting for the perfect method will never match. Most people do not quit because they lack ability. They quit because they never learned how to fail productively. They do not understand that the first version of anything, whether a skill, a business, or a mindset, is going to be flawed. They take early failure personally, seeing it as evidence that they are not meant for success. But failure does not mean you are unqualified. It means you are learning, and those who keep learning keep improving, and those who keep improving eventually win. The compound effect rewards those who persist. It does not favor the smartest, the most gifted, or the most prepared. It favors those who are willing to fail forward, those who are willing to make 1,000 mistakes if it means getting one step closer, those who are willing to embrace discomfort, knowing that every challenge overcome is a permanent upgrade to their skill set, their mindset, their capacity. The real game is not avoiding mistakes. It is making them faster, learning from them quicker, and adapting before the competition even realizes what happened. Discipline is not cruelty. It is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect. There is a difference between pushing yourself toward growth and tearing yourself down with impossible expectations. But there is also a danger in the opposite extreme, being so easy on yourself that you mistake comfort for self-care, that you let stagnation disguise itself as kindness. This is the paradox few people recognize. Being too hard on yourself can break you, but being too easy on yourself can keep you so soft that life itself will break you. When you refuse to push your limits, when you allow yourself endless excuses, when you choose comfort over challenge, you are not sparing yourself from difficulty. You are guaranteeing it. The road to mediocrity is paved with good intentions. I'll start tomorrow. I deserve a break. I've done enough for today. These thoughts seem harmless in the moment, even reasonable. But the compound effect does not care about intent. It only counts results. And every time you let yourself off the hook, you reinforce a habit of quitting. You do not realize it, but you are teaching yourself that backing down is acceptable, that settling is normal, that ease is preferable to effort. And over time, that lesson takes root. It turns into a mindset, a default way of living where every challenge feels unbearable simply because you never trained yourself to endure. The easiest way to make life harder than it needs to be is to avoid the hard things altogether. The more you dodge difficulty, the more fragile you become. The more you choose the easy way out, the less equipped you are to handle real adversity. And life does not wait for you to be ready. It does not care how comfortable you have made yourself. It will test you regardless. It will throw problems your way. It will challenge your resolve. It will demand strength. And if you have spent your years avoiding struggle, you will crumble under the weight of the first real challenge you face. The discomfort of discipline is nothing compared to the suffering of regret.